Well, AI shapes how humans pursue a good life. AI ethics specifically examines how the positive impacts of AI, which we call benefits, and how the negative impacts of the AI, which I call harms, how are they distributed among individuals and groups within our society. Of course, AI has many significant benefits to society. It can improve our understanding of the world. It can help us make sense of the vast quantities of data to, for example, to make better to discover better drugs, or to make better, to improve our life in many ways. It can improve social and economic efficiencies, because once we understand the world, we can design it in a way to improve its functioning. This already, that AI systems have been designed to replace workers rather than enhance their performance. And some researchers are now recognizing the fact that income inequality has grown as a result, increased use of AI within that technology. So ethical issues arise everywhere in the world of data, because its very collection, analysis, transmission, and its storage and use can often profoundly impact the ability of individuals and groups to live well. And this was best expressed really well in 2014, when just the dawn of realization that AI can bring harms as well was issued in this report, saying big data analytics have the potential to eclipse long-standing civil rights protections in how personal information is used in housing, credit, employment, health, education, and the marketplace. It's also important to point out the way data is, the way the bias is encoded in data. If you just say like, okay, my system doesn't use race, so it cannot possibly discriminate with race. But in reality, because of the way our society is structured, the way that all the variables are always correlated, the traits about individuals are correlated with other traits, it is possible to discriminate, for a system to discriminate, even if it's not using specific protected class as a feature in making this decision. So this is perhaps most famously illustrated in this practice called redlining, which is a historical practice which was the basis for discriminating based on race and in giving out mortgages and home loans. Banks conspired with each other back in early parts of the century to deny homeowners loans based on, now they wouldn't use race as a factor, of course, because that would be illegal, but they use the zip code as the basis for approving or denying loan decision. Worst case scenarios, algorithms can amplify the biases that exist there. So there's this type of feedback loop is actually showing how the circulation of data to algorithms that make decisions or make the automated predictions or decisions based on the data, and then people act on those predictions, and their actions then create more data for algorithms to train on. So this feedback loop can act to magnify the disparities and the prejudices that already exist. Data source of data that is of special interest to me is networks, and my own personal research explores how bias can arise in networks, how privileged groups can receive more attention and prestige based on the structure of the network, or the simple bias in the preferences for how links form. Gender classification method actually makes different types of errors based on the gender and skin color. So this algorithm is most accurate for white men. It only misidentifies the gender of 1% of light-skinned males. But when the same algorithm is applied to other groups of people, then its error rates increase. So, for example, for white women, the error rate of this gender classification goes up to 7%. And for darker skinned males, the error rate goes up to 12%. But it performs worst in dark skinned females, where its error is up to 35%. So you can see the fact that algorithms conclusions, you should not expect that they should depend on gender or skin color of the people they're classifying, but based on the kind of data the algorithm would train on, in addition to the details of the training, end up with this algorithm that is essentially discriminating against by gender and by skin color. So this is the kinds of data sources and biases, and we are covering a class called data science class called Fairness in Artificial Intelligence, we're trying to teaching students not only how to spot, how to diagnose and audit the data sets for bias, but also how to mitigate these biases, how to decrease bias so that AI can make predictions and recommendations that are non-discriminatory, that do not cause harms, especially harms to protected classes.